Hi class, how are we doing? So pretty much I am going to be doing a presentation today, which is going to be my final presentation for the semester. And I kind of just wanted to revolve it around what it takes to be a good leader. So um, pretty much I'm going to be talking about my preferred leadership theory and then also in comparison to the leadership biography that I read this semester, as well as my leadership theory compared to what I dissected with the leadership movie that we had done. My leadership movie this semester was actually on Mark Zuckerberg, the social network movie. Then I'm also going to be going into my personal leadership philosophy and what I can do currently and what I can do in the future to maximize more results and to be a better leader. So, pretty much, I think there is so many different ways to be a leader and so many different ways to be a manager, but it doesn't really entail the same thing. And something that I've been trying to work on myself lately is how to be a better leader and not to be a better manager, if that makes any sense. Um, my preferred leadership theory is actually going to be transformational leadership. So, some pros about this type of leadership for the leaders involved are that you get better staff retention. Excuse me. You also do have more staff satisfaction and happiness. And we all know that this is a direct correlation. So if you have a extremely happy staff, then you are going to have a higher retention and you're not going to have such a high turnover rate, which is the last thing you ever want in your company. Not only are you expensing so much money during training, but you're also not being able to put prime focus on these employees because they're actually not sticking with you for the long run. There is also a lot more self-sufficiency. You know, you want employees that are not asking you a million times a day how to do something because they are so self-sufficient that if they don't know how to do something, they're going to find out. The only con with this type of leadership is just employee burnout if it's taken too excessively, because sometimes employees will be giving in those long hours and they go beyond their tasks to be able to transform themselves, and sometimes this can lead to a little bit of employee burnout. Besides that, the pros and cons for the follower are that you are part of a more inspirational team, that you have a lot more long-term motivation in this team. The only con that you can find yourself in with this type of leadership style is the fact that it is very easy for the follower to be manipulated. And if you have a self-serving leader, this is something that can actually be very negative for you. Okay, so the leadership movie biography that I chose was actually one by Danny Meyer called Setting the Table. So I think this is an excellent book because it kind of just showed his transformation as a leader, especially how he was in the beginning to how he was towards the end of the book. You know, he is kind of revolutionizing the whole restaurant industry. Even in New York right now, he has implemented in certain of his restaurants that he's actually just increased their hourly wage to like a sufficient amount of money instead of actually allowing guests to tip the employees. So something completely revolutionary, which we're going to be seeing in the next couple of years. A lot of restaurants are transferring over to, just so that salaries for the back of house and front of house can actually be standardized. But besides that point, back in the day, Danny Meyer was actually a very big micromanager because of the failures that his father had, and because he was so cautious to kind of follow in his father's footsteps, he kind of started to be a bit of a micromanager. And it wasn't until he became a CEO and not a restaurateur that he started seeing that this wasn't something that he should be involved in. Like, he needs to motivate his staff, he needs to transform them, he needs to allow for their creative abilities to be able to kind of hit their workforce. So one of my favorite quotes that he actually stated in an interview was, "My job is to plant the garden with the right potential leaders. The soil is our culture. The number one priority I have next to strengthening our culture is getting the right people aboard." And then one that I truly loved from his book as well was, "Business, like life, is all about how you make people feel. It's that simple and it's that hard." So overall, very excellent leader. His successes kind of just showcase themselves. And I think maybe this is the reason why I was kind of inclined to this book, because I feel like this is a person that has a lot of traits that I personally would love to have as well. Um, and then now we're going to go kind of to the opposite side of the spectrum. So the movie that I chose is actually The Social Network. This movie is a little bit of kind of like a little micro like documentary about Mark Zuckerberg, which is the kind of creator of Facebook. So completely different leadership style. I was actually very overwhelmed of how many flaws he had as a leader, and I didn't notice like how his beginning failures, although his company overall is such a success, he's had so many failures along the way just because of his certain leadership style. Mind you, he's a multi-billionaire, so I doubt that he truly cares, but it was kind of a little bit like inspiring to see this movie because it kind of showcased the type of traits that I didn't want us to be as a leader. So very kind of authoritarian leader, no input from others on how to improve, poor communication, super quick to make decisions, and a very selfish, narcissistic type of profile that was depicted during the movie. I do not really think that there's any similarities with this with transformational leadership, and I just thought that there was a lot of lack of empathy and sincerity between his team and a lot of kind of like shady things that were going on. And overall, I mean, although he seemed to be very successful in his personal career because of this revolutionary idea, I do not think that if he was in any other field that he would have succeeded in that sense. Then we're gonna go into my personal philosophy. I just truly believe in empowering my team. I think that when you show kindness, when you show empathy, when you ask how is your day doing, you just get so many like you get so much better results from your team. You know, it's like treating your team like they're actually valuable and not just a number, not, you know, sometimes you have to care about their personal life because it only makes them feel more involved with you, have more respect and more loyalty towards you. And I think that's so important. Like when you walk into a room, do you want your staff to be scared of you? Do you want them to be hesitant? Do you want them to, you know, not be willing to kind of offer their opinions because they're hesitant that you're just going to show them backlash? So that's the complete opposite of what I want to do, and I think that's why I chose the transformational leadership model, because I think that it really shows you how to motivate, how to empower, and how to improve your team. And I think bringing out the beauty of someone inside is such an amazing thing, and bringing out that charisma and that passion is just something that's only going to elevate your company. How will I use this in my long-term and short-term goals? Well, pretty much I just want to learn, I want to apply everything that I've learned in this semester into what I currently do now as a manager at a restaurant. So I do encounter a lot of moments where I do see that I'm starting to kind of go a little bit into like authoritarian leadership, or I become a little bit more like situational leadership, you know, and I don't want to be that person that, you know, it's like my top 5%. I need to start improving the rest of my staff and not making my lower 5% feel like they're never going to get there, or it's like a bully situation, or I'm picking and choosing and there's favoritism. I think everyone should be treated equally, but there's also like the amount of time I should be inputting into each individual should be different, which is kind of something that I did learn through this semester. And, you know, when someone is failing, it's not just for me to give up on them, but to see if they actually have care, if they want to improve, how I can help them, and what has been going on where they haven't been able to achieve to that level. So yeah, I'm sorry this video is a little bit long, but very excited to be able to finally submit my last presentation. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great day.